Father and son. Over the years, many years, you've enjoyed a relationship as a father and son, a boy and a father, and in that sense, many journeys have been travelled. And yet, there's been a time in this journey back where there was an incredible significance about that journey together. David, what's that meant for you with Jerome?
Oh, look, it's been an incredible experience, actually. What it's meant to me is it's been an opportunity to reconnect with my son, who I haven't spent a lot of time with recently in the last few years. And I guess it took me back to when Jerome was young and was growing up, and we used to go camping and we would go to the forests, and some of the most wonderful memories of that bond and that kinship and that relationship, and some of the most positive memories I have of that time was when we were in nature and in the forest. So for me, it rekindled a lot of that, and it took me back to that place, and perhaps made me, go back to those places where that incredible love of a father raising a son. And so that was certainly one of the things that it brought back to me. That was my feelings.
What was it like watching Jerome on this journey?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, he's a man now. And I saw the way that he naturally reacts with people and takes on, or took on the role with such enthusiasm that he was offered by Eric to help with assisting in this documentary, in this film. So that was wonderful to see. But I enjoyed him loving nature and connecting with the Dayak people and all of the people and the men on this journey. That for me was one of the most special things. And I was so proud of him, the way that he did that, and also looking out for other people and helping with things, and that beautiful sensitive nature that Jerome has really came out during that journey. And it really just, I guess, I mean, I always knew this, but to see it in front of my eyes every day for that period of time in the journey, this beautiful man with this incredible heart, connecting with people and his humour and all of that, that was a really wonderful thing for me.
Watching your father, Jerome, it's a different context. I mean, you've been a boy watching a father, you've been a boy instructed by your father, you've been through all of those roads. But in this way, there was a different space for you. He's invited you into his space, into his world that is incredibly meaningful to him. What's it like watching this man who is your father in his full expression?
It's just amazing, I really take a lot of inspiration from it. His power to manifest and to help so many different people and create these amazing experiences for not only the Dayaks and the Indonesian people, but for me and for all the guys that were on this trip. It's just unbelievable what he's been able to create, and I envy that.
Tell us about that.
Well, me in my own world, I would like to get to a point one day where I can come to Indonesia and do as much as him, if not more, for the Indonesian people and for the people around me, my family, my friends, and for all the people I meet along my journey. And it's been an incredible trip, and watching him organize everything, and watching him, just watching people be around him and the conversations that he has with people, it's I don't know where it comes from. It's almost like God, or whatever is the Creator, whatever created us is flowing through him.
How do you notice that?
I notice that through his power to manifest, to create situations and create circumstances where he is helping other people, but at the same time helping himself and helping everyone around him. And it's just amazing to sit back and watch that happen, watch that unfold.
There was because we're blessed enough to be great friends, and have been able to be in very deep places together because of my field. There was a really painful period for you and your father, obviously watching you in the past. He sees you as a man now, and he sees what you've done with the pain, with the dark part, the part where you got lost or were looking for yourself as an adolescent. What's that being like, reflecting on him? Like, he was there too, wasn't he? He was beside you then as well. And he's beside you now, and you're watching him in as well. So as you reflect on this guy, like on your father, what does it mean to you to have that relationship? Because there are many young men who can't find their father like you have. What's it like, having gone in dark places and also in amazingly resilient places, knowing his sturdiness? What's that like as a young man?
It's been amazing, and it's given me the power to see that he's on his own path as well, just like I am at this very moment, and in the last few years of my life, and ever since childhood, I can do it. I can do it. I've got the power inside of me, and I see him doing what he does in this country and for these people.
So you see you and him?
Yes, definitely. And it was very difficult for me to see that from overseas, and I was always trying to impress him with my stories, or with my, I'm going to Canada, or, I've done some ski seasons in Jindabyne and I'm following in your footsteps. But now that I'm here with him, I can see that we're both on our own paths, and my possibilities are endless, his possibilities are endless. And
has it changed you having to prove to him now to something else? Like the son trying to prove to his father, I'm okay, Dad, watch me, I'm really doing well. Seems to have moved to another place.
That's definitely changed. Definitely changed a lot, and I feel like I really want to help him over here in his journey, and I feel like we can help each other. I have strengths that I can bring to the table. He has a lot of strengths that he brings with him every day, and is abundant, and that show in every shape and form that you can imagine. And it's given me a great perspective on things. I now believe that I can do that myself.
So it's brought you together in a new way.
I feel as though it has brought us together like we have never been brought together before.
What's it like your father seeing you as a man?
For me, as a father, seeing him as a man. It's interesting as a father, because you raise children through all these times, and in this case, through some dark times there in his teenage years, and kind of going off the rails a bit and all that sort of stuff. And then during that time, sometimes it's very easy to lose hope. It's very easy to get caught in all the day-to-day dramas and everything else. But I guess every father's dream or what he hopes for in the end is exactly this. We're sitting here today having just completed this amazing journey.
So your dreams come true?
And yeah, absolutely. And to see Jerome now as a man and embracing that as a person, and the good heart that he has, and the love and the respect for people, and all of these good things that you dream of in a son, I suppose, as a father. You do your best to bring up your kids, but at the end of the day, it's up to them, I guess. But I guess it's very nice and very, very soul satisfying to see, in this case, this beautiful man where he's at in his life right now.
Jerome, can I ask you, what's it like being seen as a man by your father?
Totally fulfilling. It fulfills me. It fills my heart with joy and with happiness. And I'm so privileged to have a father like David, because there aren't many guys out there that are like him. And the opportunities that he's given me throughout my entire life, from being 6 months old and being taken up to the snow, from being put into private school education my entire life, to if I ever need any help in any way, whether that's emotionally, whether that's spiritually, whether that's monetary, it's always there. The love and the care is always there. And that's just the best feeling in the world.
What do you say to a man like that? What do you say to a man like that?
Thank you. Thank you for all you've done for me and for the opportunities that you've given me. You've given me all the opportunity in the world. And it's now up to me to take it and use it and flourish. Spread my wings, as Kevin would say, and soar like an eagle. And I feel ready now. I feel ready to do that.
What's that like to hear from a son who's travelled quite a path? Because he is awesome.
Well, yeah, it's what I look forward to is the future. You know, watching him now and whatever he decides to do and whatever he decides to do with his life, and I think, yeah, as a father, you know, if you can give your kids that grounding and get them to this point, then you couldn't get anything that could possibly be more satisfying than that. Speaking from a father's point of view. But for Jerome, yeah, I mean, it's, wow. I can't wait to see what he's going to do with his life, because he's going to, I think, positively impact very, very many people, and he's going to have a wonderful life.
It's amazing to hear. 2 years ago, you sat in a conversation with Dayak Kenya people up in Tana Olin, in the forest, the hidden forest. And you tuned in, as you do, to a conversation about ancient burial grounds, about a history, about a lineage, about a place. And being you captured that and took action. What's it like having taken that action?
Well, no, that's very interesting, and I think that, you know, one thing I read one day, and it's fairly simple, but it's so true. You can have all the ideas in the world, and for many years, working in the corporate world, I had all these ideas about things I could do or things I would do, and I talked and I talked and I talked, and there was no action. And the reality is most people talk and they don't do things. So I guess in my case, that resonated with me because of my love and my interest and my fascination for all of my adult life and native cultures, beginning with the American Indians and seeing the Dayaks very similar and very closely aligned in terms of their spiritual beliefs and their connection with the land and so forth. So when that idea came to us, for me it was an incredible determination and motivation to be able to give these people this opportunity to return to their sacred burial lands, and then the action, yeah. So then I started to reach out to people and so forth, and what happened, and it was, I wouldn't say it was hard work, I'd say it was a wonderful journey, you know, and the people I met along the way and all the help. I couldn't have done this, of course, without the help of many people. So, but the satisfaction then of the reality of it happening it's extraordinary. I mean, and I think it can apply to anything that, you know, you decide to do with your life. But in my case, this is something that I felt very passionate about, and obviously still do, and have decided to devote my life to. Now that I have, I guess, more freedom to be able to do that and more time, that this is very, very important to me. So to see this come to fruition in this way, and to see the joy and the happiness and the love and on Pilius, his face, who hadn't been in that village since he was 15 years of age, from watching him every day turn into a young boy again and resonate with that forest and that place was just extraordinary and far, far more powerful than I would ever imagine, actually. I mean, I think that's the thing. You start with an idea and you get a mind in your head, but it often turns out different and much better. And this was the thing. And I guess in my life now, if something happened tomorrow, I would look back, and one thing I've given is that man, that joy and that connection, and others with his land, with that forest that he so loves dearly. And that is probably one of my, apart from having 2 children and various other things, that's one of my highlights in my life. So it's an incredible experience and just so fulfilling.
Not that long ago, you severed your life with the corporate world. I'm imagining a lot of people would give anything to find that much purpose, inspiration to follow their dream, and still stay in the safety or supposed safety of that commercialised corporate life. And yet you took a leap of faith. What's the quality in you that gives you that incredible courage and preparedness to leap to your intention? What is that David Metcalfness that we all witness?
Well, that was, a very, very hard decision to make, and it was very confronting for me when my 20 years working for one company in the corporate world came to an end. But I knew in my soul I wasn't satisfied. I was very dissatisfied, very unhappy actually, even though I kind of tried to make the most of the situation. And the first few months after that were very difficult. There was a lot of negative thoughts coming in, and a lot of fear and insecurity and all that kind of stuff. But one day I had a bit of a change, and I realised that I can't stop these thoughts. These negative thoughts that come into my mind, that little voice that talks to you, I can't stop that. It's going to happen. It's going to come in every day. Oh, you got to go back in the transport industry. You got to get a more secure job. All these things. You're going to fail if you do photography. Whatever it is, these thoughts. And I kind of realised that don't fight those thoughts. Accept them. Accept them. Let them come in. Let them sit in there for a while, and then go, right, you've had your time now. Go. It was like almost a metaphor of picking those thoughts up and throwing them into the river or into the ocean. There, I've had your time. Now I'm going to focus on the outcome and the positives and my dreams and my objectives. And once I started to do that, a significant change started to happen, because I started to think, instead of thinking 20% of the time about the positives and the outcomes, I started to spend 80 to 90% of my time thinking about that. And the negative thoughts would come. Some days I'd get a bit down, but they would be less and less. And then all of a sudden, this power started to take control. And then people started to come into my life to enable these things to happen. And I could give you hundreds of examples of little miracles that happen along the way. It's been an extraordinary journey, actually. And I think, certainly for me anyway, and I know many other people, once you make that leap, and you have the courage, because it does take courage, and it takes hard work, and it takes determination, and all of those things. But I guess I'm living proof of what the end result can be. And we've just experienced that on this journey, and good karma, doing good things for people, not thinking of yourself all the time, but thinking of others and giving. But you've got to balance that too, of course. Perhaps along the way that's got a bit out of balance, but those are lessons learned. But the satisfaction that you get, and the power and the goodness and the support you get, and sometimes I can't explain quite where that comes from in a physical sense, but it's there, and I've been guided along the way, and it's wonderful. And now I believe there's nothing I can't achieve, in terms of where this journey goes to next.
Jerome, as you listen to that, I mean, you're at the beginning of your journey as a young man. What does that mean to you to listen to that wisdom?
I couldn't buy that in a store. I couldn't read that in a book. I could only hear that from my father. And that's something that I cherish. And these omens and these good tidings that come into Dad's life, and that he seems to, as he said, he's not sure how it happens, but they come along. I'm in awe of that.
So what are you going to do? You've come back from an amazing journey with your dad and with the other wonderful men, and including you. What are you going to do?
Got to start my journey. Got to start my path and my legend. You know, we've got Dayak Dave, but who is Jerome, really?
A lot of young men would ask the same question.
And that's the question I've been asking myself for years now, ever since I finished high school. Asking, who am I? What is my purpose in life? And I've tried to push that. And I think it's the same thing. My love for Indonesia, my love for the Indonesian people has always been there. Always been there. It's such a strong feeling. And even just sitting in the kampung and talking with the guys, you know, it's powerful for me. You know, it's powerful for them, and I hope that it's going to get me somewhere one day where I'm happy.
You seem to be feeling a lot right now, like there's a palpable feeling coming from you. How would you describe it?
It's a yearning. It's a yearning to learn. It's a yearning to succeed. To be me.
So in the journey for you, Jerome, you're 22 years of age.
22 years.
And you travel an amazing journey, up rapids, camping out with extraordinarily ancient people that are still living many of the ways from thousands of years of their incredible balance and integrity with the forest and with nature and with each other. What was it like being amongst that and equal?
It was definitely a life-changing experience. And I feel I learnt a lot from the Dayaks, from the way that they live and the way that they protected us and the way that they protected themselves in that jungle. And they are an amazing people. They are an amazing people. And the love that they have for their traditions and their culture is something to envy. Us in the Western world, well, many people in the Western world, I feel, have a disconnection to that, to a culture, to a deep place in their heart where you feel that flow with the Dayaks. You feel that flow between their culture and their heart and their love for the forest and for each other. And to be around that was very inspirational for me, And it showed me that that's possible for me. And all the other people that came on that trip, it's possible. And we felt it. We felt it up there.
So you're saying you can apply the wisdoms of the metaphor of being in that jungle, being in that wilderness, being with that ancient wisdom and their incredible ability to be in balance with it all can be applied into a young man's journey in your world.
Definitely.
What are some of the qualities of that wisdom that you would take with you in the jungle of the West, so to speak?
Well, courage and strength for me have been a hard path to walk down. I'm very in touch with my feminine side. And I always thought that stopped me from having strength and from having courage. And really, that's the opposite.
So you see a strength in the feminine?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I have skills within courage and strength that others who are very masculine might not be able to tap into. And I need to focus my energy on that. I need to tap into that, and it's the same for the Dayaks. There are masculine men who are very masculine, and then there are feminine men who are still men in their own right, but they are in touch with that feminine side. Their balance is amazing, and they know that, and they work with that. Such as Bisin, he's the guy who runs the forest. He's quite masculine. He's quite strong. He's quite knowledgeable about the forest and about where to walk, what paths to journey down. And such as Raymond, I feel he's a very masculine man, very masculine. He hunts. He's very strong man. But he has a balance there, definitely has a balance. He is more masculine than he is feminine, but he has a balance there, and he can just sit and ponder things for hours.
To ask you both, just grabbing that, because that's really poignant. In the West, the young men, and I've noticed in Australia, and it seems to be a global movement, there is a lot of bodybuilding, there is a lot of tattooing, symbolism, that seems to be looking for the masculine, looking for the warrior. When you see that in the West and it being presented in the way it is, and then having been with true warriors who are living in the jungle, and their tattoos are part of an ancient or language on their bodies, what would you say to the young men of the West about being in the masculine?
Well, I think from my perspective, I think that it's very interesting. I mean, we seem to be in the West, we seem to be searching for something which we can't seem to find to bring us happiness and contentment. And we know of all the problems. Australia is the highest youth suicide in the world, and this is prevalent in other countries. There's so many kids on depression and suffering from so many things, and they're confused. It's a very confused generation. But for me, the solutions have always been there, because the solutions and the answers are all in these ancient cultures that have been around for thousands of years. And Jerome points out some very good examples of men that are very well balanced, that have that, and they have a very strong sense of community and looking after each other. And again, we've lost along the way. We've lost all these things. We don't respect our elders, it seems, much more. And whether it's the Dayaks, the elders are the crucial in all these indigenous cultures. That's where the wisdom is. That's who they listen to. That's who they look up to. That's who they learn their lessons from, and helping them along their journey. They have their rites of passage. They go into the forest. They connect with nature. Because in nature there's so many lessons as well. When you sit in nature and you watch a river, or you watch the forest, or you connect with the forest, you can see so much that can apply to your own life. So this is where the answers are. But I feel very strongly that as we destroy the environment, we destroy these cultures, we're losing all this wisdom. And then where do we end up? Then we have nothing. Well, then, I don't know, it just becomes, more of what we have now, but just worse. I mean, all this consumerism and all this belief that having money makes you happy. And, in some respects, we're very intelligent, species, but in others we're really dumb, when I look at the path that we're going down now. So this is a very important thing for me, and I think hopefully this comes out to people that watch this documentary, that we need to understand these people more, and we need to tap into what they have, their knowledge and their wisdom and their belief systems, and start applying that into our society. It doesn't mean we have to go back and live like we did 200 or 300 years ago. No, it's not about that at all. It's about the thinking and the belief system and how we look at the environment, and we start treating Mother Earth with love instead of something to exploit and something to fear. Because that's another thing on this journey, going up that river. There was a lot to fear. There was rapids, and there was strong waves, and there was this dark forest with all sorts of things in there, and wild animals and all sorts of things. But I never felt any fear for 1 second, because I was with people that know that place, that don't have any fear, well, that's not true. We all have fears to some extent, but I guess they deal with their fears. That's probably what I'm trying to say.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, I think a lot of those bodybuilders, or a bit of bodybuilders specifically, but those guys who work out to look good, they want to look strong. They aren't strong within themselves. And that's a big difference.
And the symbolism of tribal tattoos, which are becoming prevalent in our Western culture.
They're trying to convey an image of strength. When you're looking for something and when you are something, it's two very different things. And to be something, you've got to go out and live it. You've got to go out and be it. Not, as Dad says, not going out and living like they did 300 years ago, but being strong emotionally, being strong physically, being a man and being a strong man, and that strength, that whole strength issue here is, it's all about the inside.
I noticed with the Dayak cultures and many of the cultures in Indonesia, where we spent a lot of time on this journey with the Dayak Kenya people, they don't seem to compete against each other. They seem to cooperate. In our culture, there seems to be a lot of competition between us. We have to be better. Success is to beat other men. I don't see that with them. What do you notice about that, David? You've spent so much time with these people. When you look at the two in terms of results.
Well, I think it's another wonderful thing about these cultures, and in Dayak culture, there's two things I guess I'd say. One is there's no such word in Dayak language for thank you. How amazing is that? Because they don't need that word, because it's a given. Everyone helps each other. Everyone chips in and helps and supports, and so you don't need to say thank you. You don't need a word for that.
No, you show it.
And they say that the Dayaks see with the mind and not with the eyes, and I think that's very important as well. And probably typically in the West we tend to express ourselves very loud and verbally and all this kind of stuff. But these cultures, and particularly the Dayaks, it's a gentle beauty, and it's a gentle strength, I guess. But the way that they look at things, they look at things differently, and they see things differently, and with that becomes this wisdom and this belief in themselves, and they don't have to. When they have that balance, they don't have to prove anything to anyone else, because they're content within themselves. They're very happy within their souls, and they love doing what they do, and so as a result, they're a very, very happy people. That's what I think.
In this journey that you've both travelled together, Jerome, what was the highlight for you that you could take back to your life?
There was just so many. There's so many lessons that I learned on this trip. And whether that was after doing a 3-4 hour hike, we reached the most spiritual place I think I've ever been in, which was that cemetery in the middle of those mountains. Or whether it was racing down the river going over, those rapids and smashing on rocks and getting just covered in water, or whether that was just being in the village and just accepting the spirituality of that place and the strength it had, and the amazing history that was there, seeing pots there from that said Amsterdam, obviously 300-year-old pots from when the Dutch had come to Indonesia, or whether that was from when I walked into the forest on my own one night and spent half an hour just listening to the forest, turned off my flashlight and just took it all in. There were so many times on this trip where I felt like, wow, this is life-changing, and this is all individual lessons that are going to lead me to amazing places in life if I can stay true to them, if I can remember them, and
if you were to,
I can.
the metaphor of the forest, being alone, turning your light off, being out there listening, being aware. How would you apply that in the city, in the commerce, in the Jerome on his journey around the planet?
Well, I think sometimes, and anyone can do this, well, whatever you do, if you're in the city and you work doing sales and marketing, whether you work at a farm and you shear sheep, whether you're a dive instructor or a ski lift operator, just take a second now and then to just close your eyes and just listen. Just think about your life and where you are in that moment, and just realize the good things. Realize what you have. Because there's always someone worse off and there's always someone better.
So pay attention to your journey.
Exactly.
David, as a main choreographer of this journey, and everything you do, everything you've now stepped in and own as the David Metcalf life, completely purpose-driven, shedded the corporate guy, shedded and stepped through what you said was sometimes arduous and frightening, to be in your truth, to be in the life that you've chosen and fully owning it. What is it like sitting here reflecting on having manifested that?
Well, it brings tremendous peace to me, to my soul. I get so much satisfaction out of seeing the results of what I do, to see the incredible joy on someone like Peleus's face, to when I go into the villages up in central Kalimantan and I connect with the children that we support in the village there, to see their beautiful smiley faces and see them having books and materials they didn't have before, and their willingness to learn. These are things that I think once you, or for me certainly, having made this change and you start to live in this world, then you see, when you see nothing but possibilities, oh, it's incredible. It's just amazing, because every day you get up, you're filled with energy and enthusiasm and then talking to people that are doing similar kind of things, and you start to connect with those kind of people. You start to draw them into your world, or they let you into their world, and then you feed off each other, and oh my God, I mean, it's powerful, and you get to the point where you think, well, what can't I achieve within reality? That's the probably challenge, is to keep that in balance. But my God, it's just a wonderful place to be. And I know from my experiences, so many people in the corporate world are dissatisfied. They all whinge and moan all day, and I was there at one point. And I look at the potential that they have and what they could do to help others and so forth. If they could just find their path on this journey and take the leap, take the risks. Because the other way I look at this, I come from a very privileged background, from growing up in New Zealand and a good education and from a wealthy country, and then moving to Australia and experiencing that. So for me to come to a place like Indonesia, where these beautiful people that, and all my experiences travelling all over Indonesia and Kalimantan particularly, but everywhere really, and people are just so warm, and they open their hearts and they open their homes to you, and as a photographer they welcome me in, and yes, please come in here and come into my world, and it's amazing, and so I feel I want to, how can you take advantage of that hospitality and that love and that respect and that openness? So for me, my journey now is about giving. It's very much about giving back, and I probably realised that a few years ago, but we're sort of stuck in that corporate world. But now I'm living in this world, and I see there's so many people that do need support and help, and it's not a question of coming in and giving money. That's not what it's all about. That's the unintelligent approach. There's a more sustainable approach that needs to happen. So that's the world that I live in now, and yeah, it's very, very exciting. And I seriously think, what can't we achieve? I mean, I guess the ultimate goal is to be able to help the indigenous peoples in this country, like the Dayaks, to give them some security of their land and the ability to control their own destiny, because unfortunately that's the future is uncertain for them, and I feel compelled now to be able to help to give them a voice, and this beautiful culture that's so talented and is so rich and such incredible dance and ability and everything else that kind of sits in a box and never comes out. So I think it's very important for that culture that more and more people understand how wonderful it is and how worthwhile it is preserving along with the lands.
What makes Indonesia so sacred for you?
Well, it's the people. I mean, it's a wonderful history, and it's an incredible country with 17,000 islands of immense beauty and all these things. But at the end of the day, it's the beauty and the warm and openness of the people, and how they accept a foreigner who comes into their world. There's always this fascination and this interest and this respect, and and I guess you don't have to share it with others as well. You can travel throughout these islands and there's no other sort of foreigners there at all, so it allows for that opportunity more, perhaps.
What would you say to the younger David Metcalf that was in the corporate world and following all of that, knowing what you know now about you?
Well, I think for me that there was a time and a place that was important, and there's no point looking back saying maybe I should have done this journey earlier or anything like that. That's probably another lesson that I've learned, is timing. Timing's so important, and never look back. There's no point looking back, because things might have been different than what you think they would have been. So I look back a lot, when I left Jakarta quite a few years ago, and I went into a very difficult place myself, and I regretted many times leaving. But now when I sit here today and look back at the way things have progressed and all the things that have fallen into place and the connections I've made, they probably would never have happened in a different time, in a different place. So I think that's important as well. I think, the timing, when you're ready to do these things, and get on and do them.
What would you have to say to the men, watching the men who travelled with you on the journey? What is it about them you noticed? And what would you say to them in hindsight after having travelled with them on this amazing discovery of both themselves and travelling beside the Dayak Kenya people?
Well, I think these men have had troubles in their past and difficult things to work through, and I can see that, and we talked about that, like I guess all of us, and they've had their down times and times they've been hurt, and for a variety of different reasons. But the one thing I noticed was that these men, certainly the Western men, were sort of working their way through that, and they were coming through that, and they had the courage to challenge themselves and to address those issues, because so few people do. So few people really have got the courage to address some of these issues within themselves. And then it's unfortunate, because they go through lives and they go to their grave, never having confronted that. And they could have had a much more positive, happy life if they had it. So I saw in these men that they'd gone down that path, or they're still going down that path, but they'd confronted those demons, and they were much more content and happier within themselves. And they were strong men. They were strong. That was something that was very clear to me. And it was beautiful to be around that. And helping each other. Everybody was helping each other, which is wonderful, thinking of each other and love and feeling that brotherhood, and that's what was really striking for me on this journey. And I didn't know about that, I didn't quite know to expect that or whatever, but that's the way it turned up, and it was such an incredible group of people, and I loved the way that the different cultures, the Balinese men, the Western men, the Dayak men, how we got on. And we were, on that last night, we were singing and we were connecting, and it's just the most beautiful thing, and there was that wonderful energy there and that beautiful village. I mean, and I suppose it gives me hope for the future, that if we can get more of this happening, if we can get more of these connections, then the future is bright, is positive. But there's a lot of work to be done.
As a voice through your work, and there's a question for each of you. As a voice, David, on your purpose, if that voice could speak to the humans on the planet right now, across all cultures, what would you say if you had an opportunity to address the human race?
I would say have respect for others. I yeah, I would say have respect for others. I wouldn't say don't have any fears, but I would say that most of what you fear is not reality. It's just perception. That holds so many people back, and it certainly held me back a lot as well. But once you break through that fear barrier and you go into this space, into living what you really love doing, then it's a wonderful world. And that's what I would pass on to man, woman, child, whatever.
Jerome, what would you say to young people, the youth, people of your age and in their 20s and adolescence? What would you say if you could speak to them all across cultures, having travelled this path next to an ancient race?
I think the most important, or one of the most important things for young people is to let others in. Let them into your heart, let them into your soul. Because through those connections, your possibilities are endless. You only limit your possibilities when you limit your connections to other people. The amount of times I think about if I hadn't have met that one person, how different and how I would have lost this opportunity or that opportunity is great. I couldn't name the amount of times that I've had that in my life, and I'm so fortunate that I've been able to find those people in my life. But I think everyone has that power and everyone has that possibility. And what I'd say to you guys, to mankind, to the earth, to young people everywhere is put it down. Put your PlayStation controller down. Put your iPhone down. Go outside. Go to the park. Go to a bar even. Just go and talk to people. Go and connect, because that's where you'll make those real connections in life. Not through 30 likes on Facebook or 50 shares on Instagram or Twitter. It's where you'll get real happiness, where you'll get real enjoyment out of life is from the people that you shared it with. So don't limit those possibilities, because they're endless. Go out there and live it. And be open to love. Be open to others around you, because they don't come around every second of every day. They're different. They're all different. So go out there right now and go and live it.
So, last question. When you look at all the cultures on the planet, all the different ways of being human, the spiritual beliefs, Islam, Hindu, Buddhism, Christianity, all of them, what's the most important message as guys that travel into cultures and immerse yourselves in them have found that you would like to communicate through your connection with the Dayak, the Native American Indian that travelled with us, Kevin Locke, the Australians, the Kiwis, the Balinese, the Indonesian, the Javanese, all of us, and then all the other cultures. When you've travelled a path where together we could travel and share and learn and give and listen and laugh and cry, what's the most important thing to you, David, who is the most amazing Kiwi guy who immerses himself in different cultures. What is it that you found?
You've got to open your heart. That's very important. You've got to open your heart to these people, and it doesn't matter. Nothing to do with what their religion is or what their background. But if you have, I guess, the eyes to see and an open heart, then you will have the most wonderful experiences. I guarantee anybody.
So accept.
Acceptance, exactly, and go into these places and travel in these places with that in mind, and good things will happen, because people will pick up on that, and people will tune into that, and that's, and you know, and as you say, I've travelled. I went to Russia way back in the Cold War days, and I lived with a Russian family in a town that had never seen a Kiwi before, and all these countries I've been, it's the same experience. And I went into that place, I didn't know any of these people, but these were the so-called dreaded enemy, the Russians at the time, and everything else. And I never believed that. So, but I had a curiosity when I was a young man, and I wanted to experience that. And again, it was the most beautiful. And they took me in as family. These people
and you find this everywhere you go.
In the Ukraine, everywhere I go,
story.
Everywhere. It doesn't matter what country it is. It's the same. Absolutely. And and I think when you take that attitude with you, you know, good things happen, positive things happen. Whereas if you go with the attitude, oh, well, these people are stupid, or they don't understand, or what's this crazy, you know, Muslim religion? Why do they pray it, you know, 5 or 6 times a day, or whatever it is? I mean, if you go in with that attitude, then those people, and I've seen plenty of this, they get into trouble. Someone steals off them, or they get into problems on their journey, and then they scratch their heads, and I go, well, you put that onto yourself, don't you get it? Have respect. You don't know that person's background. You don't know what's happened that morning when they grew up. You don't know what house they live in. You don't know what sort of circumstances in which they live. So don't judge. And it's, of course, easy to do. We all do it. But try and not do that. Try and understand where people are coming from. And with that attitude, yes, oh, absolutely. Everywhere I've gone. Many, many, many countries.
And following your father in that way, in the parts that you follow him with, as you forge your own path as a young man, and you're travelling also and zipping all over the world and having great experiences, are you finding the same doorways open to your friendship, to your open-heartedness, to your acceptance of them?
Definitely. I think that we're here for a reason. Something, someone, some God, the Creator put us here for a reason. And go out and find that reason, because it's there. It is there.
It's beautiful, and it's love. It always was love. Always was, from the moment Eve was born. And I caught him in the water and brought him up into this to take his first breath. That's where it started. How cool is that? And to see this from those first hours to this man today is just the ultimate dream. The ultimate dream come true. Wow. It's a beautiful thing. I love you heaps.
Love you too.